Alrighty. Gucken wir doch mal. Okay, da ist es. Miau. Hi, Tony. You're pünktlich. Already adapting to the German way of life. What's this? Live control room? Huh, that's interesting. Alright, maybe I should have looked into this before I started. But that's fine. That's okay. We'll just wing it like every time because I forget what to do every time. Alright, so just let me get back to come on. Now just hope I don't look too broken up or whatever. Alright, so there we are, guys. Hello, willkommen. The mixed form between welcome and willkommen. Already 8 people here. So we'll just wait until a few more people show up, I guess, and I'll just announce this on Twitter and Facebook. Oh yeah, I have a new Facebook page now, finally. I set that up yesterday after it was offline for, I think, well, embarrassingly long, I think since last October. And hold on. I don't want to write gibberish. Right, and there we go. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I think I was talking about Facebook. So that's back up under a different URL. I've already started editing my description, so I have it in, you know, so there's, because the old link is dead now. Yeah. So that's new, so that's nice. But there's currently like, I think, 50 likes. So we'll see how long that takes to get back up. All right. And there we go. That's that. That's set up. So now I just gotta hope that I get a good feed for my comments so that I don't have to refresh all the time. Last time that worked fairly well. God, I can never get used to seeing myself, like, I think like a minute behind what I'm actually saying, and so I get terribly self-conscious about every little movement that I make with my face. But I'll get into that better. Right. Hi, Dinosaur Omelette. Great to see you. And so early as well. Okay. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. It's a lovely Sunday today, so I really wish I could be doing this outside, but that would be kind of tricky. And I'm just excited what questions there are going to be today or what topics you guys want to bring up. So really looking forward to it. If only I could get the comments to come in more. All right, I'll play. What do I think about the sweets brand Katjes? They're delicious, obviously, you know, something that close to me in name. How can that not be good, right? No, one of its. There are quite a few gummies that I really like that are by Katjes. And there have been some friends who felt very original in calling me Katjes instead of Katja. And I have another friend who sometimes will call me Kat9 as opposed to Katja. So that's funny as well. But yeah, Katjas, absolutely. I mean, how could I not like it? My throat is making weird sounds. I have weird earworms today. Damn it, YouTube. Ah, damn it, it's not giving me a live feed, so I have to do this some other way. I just don't know how. Ah, damn it. Because I don't want to keep switching between like news comments, top comments, because that's just confusing. The last time it kept like refreshing, I say like way too often, it kept just refreshing the comments, but it seems to not be doing that right now. So we'll just see how this goes. It's been a big week. How so? Elections? Or anything else as well? At love it. Hi Vlad, can I recommend some books in German for A2, B1 level? I'm afraid I'm not the right person to ask about this. That's a stupid thing to say because I can't point you to somebody who's better. But I'm not professionally trained, so I don't have a good overview over what is appropriate at what level. Through learning languages myself, of course, I have a slight idea, but first of all, I'm not, you know, deep enough in educational books or books that are likely to be used in education to go from experience. And yeah, disappointing answer, but I can't really offer much more. 7 minutes late. 7 minutes late is not that bad. I mean, I haven't really been doing much. Are you still considering doing Let's Plays? I would absolutely love to watch. Awesome, thank you. First guaranteed watcher. I actually am and have been for a while. I don't think I've ever made an official statement for this. I probably told you about this in some comment because we're always so talkative Dinosaur Omelet, so I'm just going to clear it up for a bit everybody else. Since I play a lot of video games in my free time, I have been thinking about doing Let's Plays for games that would make it fun to learn language through reading subtitles and going along with the game and everything. And I already have somewhat of an idea of what games I could play for that, at least in the beginning. And I have been wanting to do that for some time, and I've set some things up for it already, but I just don't have the time at the moment. So to answer your question more without all the rambling, I am still considering them, auf jeden Fall. I'm so in German right now. Absolutely still considering doing them and want to do them. I just don't know when yet, because at the moment, as I'm sure you've all noticed, I'm struggling enough with putting out DFE videos enough. So I would probably have to, sit down and pre-record quite a few episodes for the Let's Plays, because normally it's better to push them out a bit faster than once a week. And for that, I would have to be sure that I can guarantee a certain schedule, because with the Let's Play market on YouTube, it's just completely pointless to do it if you're just going to do it sporadically. It's hard enough as it is. And are you considering doing or keep doing other types of content? Well, I mean, this channel is definitely going to keep going. Or, like, for example, commentary, reviews, or tours. Love die Tour of Tübingen. And also when you show das Weihnachtsmarkt in Heidelberg. I definitely want to do more of that stuff. And you'd be surprised how, when you think about it, it would be really easy to travel around to other German places. But it just, you have to plan that kind of stuff, and then just kind of time always like slips through your hands really fast. So again, on that also, yes, I, from a theoretical standpoint of view, I definitely want to do that more. I just can't really ever pinpoint when that will be. If there's going to be any in the near future, it would have to be until or by September, because I'm leaving the country in September. So I won't have the option of doing German tours for a while then. You don't have to apologize, Daniel Omelette. You're always so sweet. I always love reading from you. I tell you that every time I read from you, but it's just such a nice, consistent, lovely commenter. Hi Simon! Endlich hat's auch mal geklappt. Are you planning to move overseas to teach German? That's an interesting question. That's certainly something, oh shit, my internet is lagging. All right. Teaching overseas, that's certainly something I've considered before, and I find quite an interesting topic and, thing to consider doing. I don't think I would move permanently or for a very long time. I love going to other countries, exploring, seeing stuff, and even spending some, a longer amount of time there. But right now, I'm really comfortable here. That might change in the future. I might at some point discover that I want to move to this country because this and this and this is infinitely better than in Germany. That's always possible. But right now, I'm just very satisfied with how things are going here. So I don't know. Moving permanently, not so much, but teaching German somewhere else, definitely. If I would get the chance, or rather, because it's kind of stupid to always assume that these things kind of fall into your lap, that I would, if I have the time at some point to go and teach, definitely. One thing I'd really love to do at some point would be a teaching assistantship at an American college, because that's just something that seems to be like the ideal place for me. For example, I like children, but I sometimes have problems interacting with them because I normally treat them like too grown up, and then I'm surprised when they're kids. It's kind of weird. So I don't know. Normally the thing that I'm most comfortable with are kids in their late teens, I guess. So that's just kind of what I'm, see myself doing. Well, I don't know if I would, but yeah. Also, please never stop uploading videos. They're really, really good. It's so easy to learn with you. Aw, thank you. I know you're also a longtime watcher, Aorta Blue. Always recognize your username as well. So thank you very much. And kudos for sticking with it so long. Are you going to be on the XXL Tuber Day this year? To be honest, I don't even know what that is. I guess it's some kind of YouTube convention. I haven't looked into this kind of stuff before. I would love to go to VidCon someday, but that's just, you know, on the other side of the globe. But actually, you know what? Let me just look that up right now, because I don't know. I don't know what that is. XXL Tuber Day. What is that? Oh, if it's already in June, I don't think it's, probably not. You can't get any tickets more, right? Special guest 2015. Wait, where is this? Movie park, Germany. I'm so uneducated. I have no idea where the movie park is. All right. Movie park, Germany. Bottrop Kirchhellen. See, I'm. Oh, NRW. Okay. No, well, you know, you can see from this radio emails, by the way, that no, I so far, you know, unless I decide spontaneously that I won't be going. But thanks for bringing my attention to that. So maybe in the future that's a possibility. Where can I find an online tutor in Germany? Just moved to the Stuttgart area and I'm having a problem finding people to practice with. You could go, does Stuttgart have a university? They have to have a university. Pretty sure they do. Right? God, people, you make me feel so stupid and uneducated. Luckily, I have my best friend Google. Yeah, of course, they have a university, Katja, of course. So you go to some place at the university that teaches languages, and look for I don't know what your native language is. So you go to a department that teaches your native language, preferably. If it's English, that's probably going to be relatively easy. And just, you know, put up a little note that you want to learn, that you want to practice German with somebody, and that you can provide English or whatever it is to them. Besides that, you can always go to the Goethe Institute, which again, I don't know if there is one in Stuttgart. People are gonna start believing you. She's not qualified to do this. Yeah. Right. Right. So, I mean, you can always take courses, of course, but that it doesn't seem to be what you want to do. So, I think at the Goethe Institute, they normally also have this tandem partner Börse, whatever, you know, where you can find people to do interchangeable language partnering with. And so I think like uni, that kind of stuff is always probably the best place, because you're certain to find people that also want to learn stuff. Other than that, you could try signing up for a Verein, which are our like clubs, but they're outside of schools and everything. I'm sure you've come across them before. The nice thing about that, of course, is that it's a very native environment. But the downside is that you might feel kind of intimidated in the beginning. So that might be something to move to later, when you've already kind of, you know, gotten more acclimated to living in Germany. And then, of course, work. I don't know what you do here. Yeah. And online, well, online is probably always the easiest. You can go, there's a page called verbling.com. I've had my troubles with them in the past, but they do this kind of thing where you can, you can find a tutor there for the language that you're looking for. But of course, that costs money, and it's not that cheap. So that's a way to go if you really want to go online. But if you can, and since you are already in Germany, I would urge you to take advantage of this. Find somebody you can meet face to face, because that's infinitely better. Hello, Katja. I want to learn German after it stopped a while ago, so I want to ask you for learning grammar. What is order of importance of different tenses from most commonly used to at least commonly used? The order I put my tense videos in is the order that I would go by. So obviously the most important one is the present. Then depending on whether you're talking about written or spoken language, the next two most important are Präteritum, so the simple past, and perfect, which is another way of putting the simple past in German. Since you're probably going to go more for spoken language, you should probably look at the perfect first, then Präteritum, then Plusquamperfekt, so the past perfect, and then the two future tenses, Futur 1, Futur 2. That's, just the tenses. And then, of course, there's the passive and the conjunctive, but that's not tenses, although you need that too. But definitely look into forming the presence and perfect correctly first, because you'll communicate most things through those. You'll be able to communicate most things through those, even if it's not perfect in the beginning then. But like I said, if you're interested in learning about them from a more theoretical standpoint, start at episode 66, I think 60 something. At the end of, I know that 69 is the perfect, so the presence is 67, right? So either start with that or my introduction to tenses, which would then be 66 or 65, and go from there. I just found out that I'm going to Germany next year as an exchange student. Glückwunsch. Awesome. So I must learn. You're the best. Du bist super. Thank you. Dankeschön. And good luck with that. Exchange stuff is awesome. I wish I would have done it for longer than a month. If you could say only one tip for someone struggling to learn a language, what would it be? Let's use German as an example. Well, you're right about, generalizing, because it's pretty much the same thing for every language, except for how much material there is out there. So English is definitely the most easiest one. But the most important thing after acquiring a certain base, and that's assuming you already have one. If you don't have any base whatsoever, I think the easiest way to do it is to find a language course. I know it costs money, but if there's any way to access one for the basics, do it. Because it will keep you working. You won't constantly have to motivate yourself. That's the hardest thing in the beginning, or the whole time. Because the problem with autodidactic learning is that you always have other things to do. You always will have other things to do. And if it's not your top priority, you're always going to push it aside unless you have amazing willpower, which some people do have, so that's fine too. But in the beginning, I think classes are good because they will push you to do it. So that's for the beginning. Once you do have a certain base exposure, and the internet is perfect for that. With German, since we're using that as an example, since we're on Deutsch für euch, for German, it's not that hard as for other languages, I would say, because for example, the YouTube community in Germany is relatively big. It's not quite as diverse as the American realm, or at least the top channels aren't very diverse. So I guess, there's different niches as well, but they're just not as popular as the top ones. But then again, with PewDiePie being first subscribed overall, the Let's Play Dominion is just an international phenomenon, I guess. So, what am I saying? I'm saying try to find some sort of German community, maybe even the old school forums, the bulletin and whatever, and try to talk to people. If you're already involved in an international community, start searching German people out there. Watch German movies, shows, listen to music, watch German YouTube channels, like I said, preferably with subtitles. Some people do that now. And go from there. And the best thing to do on the side, of course, is to keep studying theory, so grammar. Still, if you can, go to classes, stuff like that. And regardless of whether or not you're struggling, you can always study vocabulary. Some people are better at memorizing stuff than others, but everybody can memorize words. I know it sucks. That's my least favorite part about learning a language. Some people don't mind it, but that's something everybody can do. And even if you don't have perfect structure, if you know a lot of words, somehow you'll learn to put them in the correct order and form. I wanted to ask you about studies in Germany for foreigners. In university, you have to pay every semester. Yes, you pay every semester, but you pay a very small amount. You pay around 100 to 200 euros. Might be that there are some at which you pay over 200, but that's very rare. I pay about 150 per semester, or even just 140. So it's very affordable compared to other countries. And some universities have like a student ticket for transport, for public transport included in their semester tuition. So my university, for example, doesn't do that. You have to buy that separately. And together, I actually, when you take those two together, I actually get up to a price of roughly 300. So that's actually more expensive than some unis that have total price that's somewhere around 200 for both tuition and the ticket. But in general, depending on what country you're coming from, of course, it's very inexpensive here. It's Mother's Day in the USA. Do you celebrate it in Germany? We do. And I read under my announcement that some people couldn't make it because of that today. We normally don't do anything big. I already congratulated my mom today, but it's the same as with Valentine's Day. It's a nice day with a nice gesture behind it, and I guess it's if every other day of the year you don't think about your mom, at least you're going to think about her this very day. But I think that's kind of sad in itself. So to me, it's a nice concept, and I got her a present and stuff like that. And you could definitely take that as an additional day to do something special for your mom, because we certainly all don't do that enough, or most of us don't do that enough. But it's not something that I would dedicate the whole day to. I don't know if I would be comfortable with that if I was a mom. That's something that you should do on birthdays or whatever. But that's up to everybody themselves. It's just an explanation why I'm doing this today, and also why I was kind of inconsiderate towards other people maybe not being able to come out today. Which, sorry about that. All right, so apparently it's not going to give me a live, come on, a live feed. So I gotta keep switching between the sorting. All right, so scroll down. Everyone is qualified to Google. Amen to that. Damn, I gotta do this more often. The reloading, I mean. Okay. Gotta speed up. I can't ramble that much. What are some great places to visit in Germany? One place I was very impressed with was the so-called Sächsische Alb, which I'm ashamed to admit, even though I liked it so much, I don't even know where exactly that is. So that's another thing I'm just gonna Google. And it's basically, well, it is in, Alps Elbsandsteingebirge is the actual name, but it's up in Saxony, of course, and it's incredibly beautiful because it has these really like green and very, how you say that, high mountains with big ravines in between and everything. Like in the middle of Saxony, although that's like stuff that you normally associate with the Alps and Switzerland. So that's why it's also called the Sächsische Alps, the Saxonian Alps, or the Sächsische Schweiz. Let me see what it's called in Elbe Sandstone Mountains. That's what it's called. So that's what was an area that I especially liked. And then there's, of course, a lot of very beautiful cities. For example, if you were to go there, you should definitely also check out Dresden, which is really, really, really picturesque and pretty. And Leipzig is also very worth a visit. And and besides that, Bayern is beautiful. Odenwald and der Schwarzwald, Black Forest, and a lot of beautiful places. And also, if you're going to Berlin, for example, which if you only get one chance to go to Germany, you might want to go to Berlin, maybe. I don't know, depends on your preferences. And there's also a lot of beautiful nature around Berlin. So yeah, just we have the good fortune to live in a very, very green state, in a very green country and climate. And despite there being so many Germans, and despite it being relatively full compared to other countries like, I don't know, the US or Canada, of course we don't have that, that kind of vast open space here, but you find beautiful patches of nature every now and then. I have troubles with the word gewesen. Why? Like pronunciation-wise? Gewesen, ist gewesen. No. You need that word, sorry. Alternatives. Of course, context-based, there will be alternatives sometimes, but... Wohin gehst du im September? Im September gehe ich nach St. Petersburg. I'm going to St. Petersburg in September to learn Russian properly. And I'm going for at least a semester. And I'm really excited and kind of scared. And I'm going to be living in a dormitory. And yeah, so fun stuff. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm kind of nervous as well. Do you like French fries? Of course. Who doesn't like French fries? Pommes. I have trouble with words like rein, rauf, runter. In school, we learn that there is hin und her, hinunter, herunter. But when Germans speak, it seems like they never say hin or her. Yeah, right. That's just, like the contractions in English. We just like to shorten that because through some sort of evolution in our language, that's possible. So rein is hinein. Raus ist heraus. Rauf, hinauf, or herauf. So basically, the hin und her is more accurate because hinein, for example, means we're in this room and he's going into the other room. So he's going hinein into that room. Or herein is we're in this room and he's in the other room and he's coming herein. So with us. So hin is always away and her is always towards you. This differentiation gets basically eliminated with the colloquial rein, rauf, runter, raus, whatever. That always just means the general. Basically, that puts the perspective entirely on. For example, rein and raus are complementary in that way as well, right? I could be inside and see somebody going outside and say he's going raus or hinaus. Or it could be outside and see somebody come outside and say he's damn it, sorry. Right. Sorry. Rewind. Okay, wait. So we have the differentiation between rein and raus. So either you go inside something or you go out of something. That's easy enough. That's the only differentiation you can make with the colloquial terms. So either somebody's going raus, so outside, out of something, or somebody's going rein, so into something. Whereas with hin and her, you can also make the differentiation of which perspective you're seeing this from. So with raus, I could be either inside or outside and see somebody going outside and just say he's going raus. I don't know from that sentence where I'm standing, or you're not going to know where I'm standing. However, if I say he's going heraus, hinaus, he's going hinaus, that means I see him going outside and I'm also, myself, I'm inside. If I say I see him going heraus, that means I'm outside and see him going outside, right? So basically, the short versions are what you can use to basically only denote the direction, the general objective direction, if you're looking at it from an aerial view. While as hin and her are used to differentiate between your perspective on that movement, which we normally don't use in everyday speech. So that's why we normally use the shortened versions. It's fine to use hinaus, hinunter, herunter, hinein, whatever. But it will probably sound kind of a bit too elevated in everyday speech if you're not going for, especially like specifically pointing out that you need your perspective for this to make sense. You have 45 minutes to practice German. What should you do? Well, if you're only going to practice, you should probably do some comprehension exercise and try to answer some questions. Or you could watch a short movie. Or you could talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. That's probably the best version. Talk to yourself, have a dictionary handy, and just try to, especially like if you're preparing for a specific, for example, oral exam or something, talk to yourself, look words up that you don't know, imagine a scenario in which you would have a discourse. That makes you feel like you can actually talk, I feel. As opposed to listening exercises that might give you more of a, good input, and that you learn from subconsciously, but of course that's going to make you very aware of what you don't know as well. So I would go with that. Talk to yourself and look up stuff you don't know. Hast du schon mal überlegt, andere Sprachen zu unterrichten, auf Englisch oder Deutsch? Und ich finde deine Videos einfach immer so witzig und gemacht. Deswegen schaue ich dir als Deutscher. Danke, Simon. Ich sehe dich auch immer wieder gerne kommentieren. So, have I thought about teaching other languages? Certainly. But I don't feel that I'm at a level in any other language at the moment that I could teach it. I could teach the basics of Russian or Japanese, for example, but I would feel kind of phony about it because I am myself currently at the conversational stage with Russian and somewhere below that with Japanese. So, I like to be proficient at a language first, which is kind of inefficient, I guess, but yeah. But I have definitely thought about doing like a sister project, teaching certain nuances of English in German, which of course would be beneficial for watchers of this channel as well, because you could watch somebody speak actual German, which I know some of you would appreciate on this channel. But again, the time issue. That's another thing I plan to do once I finally have a bit more time, which might just be utopian image I have of somewhere off in the far future. And I just need to get organized more. I don't know. Do you like Italy? Yeah, Italy is lovely. I've only been to... I've been to Naples very, very shortly, but then I went somewhere south of that, so I went to see Pompeii and... what's the other one? Herculaneum, the old Roman thingies. That didn't sound demeaning at all. And I've been to Venice twice. No. Or have I? I don't know. I've been to Venice at least once, but I've never been to Rome, so that's something I've still have to do. Lovely, very hot in the summer. Very chaotic politics. but very lovely people. At least most of them that you meet. Do you plan on learning French anytime? Je sais parle un peu français, mais seulement un petit peu. I'm not very confident in my French. When I'm forced to speak it, I tend to notice that I'm better than I would have judged myself to be. But I don't like speaking French particularly. Sadly, a lot of that is due to my first French teacher in school, which is probably true for anybody who's ever learned languages and didn't have a teacher they liked. Candy made of drugs. Hello, Katja. Long-time viewer. Actually, I've been with you since your second video. Wow. Jesus, and you're still here. Danke. Anyways, how's the weather like in Germany right now? Like I said, it's absolutely lovely outside. It's pretty warm as well. And it's just clear blue sky, and yeah, summer's coming. Whee! Summer's coming. God, that was an awful Game of Thrones reference. You just hummed the Itchy and Scratchy theme. I like even more. Did I? What did I hum earlier? Wasn't that like da 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 da? Please try to explain the sentence. How up do high knee? Wie hoch? Nee, wie was? Wie was? I don't get it. How up do high knee? That's some Germanism I'm not getting, and I've never heard that joke before. Wie ab du nee. Ach so, oh mein Gott. Damn it. I fell into the trap. I started translating how up to high knee. Oh man. Oh man. Tut ja weh. Alright, so what he did here was he wrote how up do high knee. So, a sentence that doesn't make any sense. But when you pronounce it more Germanish and don't translate anything, it means piss off, you high knee. That's one of the words I explained in episode 36, actually. Jesus. I think you spider. Alright. That was a good laugh. Thanks for that, Jan. Alright. Gotta scroll up a bit. I'm behind. How long did it take you to learn English? Pretty long, actually. But I started as a child. I started at third grade. Because back then, now it's normal for kids to start English at first grade here. But when I was going to school, we started at fifth grade, so no English in elementary. They just started introducing that when I was in fourth grade, and my teachers weren't qualified whatsoever. He actually at one point taught us that when somebody says thank you, you're supposed to say please in return. Because that's how you do it in German, right? You say bitte, danke, bitte. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I took a voluntary course starting, I think, like third grade-ish. That was very good. So I had a nice introduction to fifth grade. Then, of course, I had classes from fifth grade until I graduated. And in between that, I would say at like 12, 13-ish, I started using the internet in English. And that's basically the whole story. Had a lot of, whether I wanted to or not. Of course, I also had a certain motivation to learn it because it's useful. Then some of it was like knowing that it would help me, but most of it was just like as a tool because I needed it to go on certain sites and speak to people and read what people are saying. And then I watched a lot of anime with English subtitles, and then I watched a lot of shows in English, and I started watching stuff on YouTube, which in 2006-ish there really wasn't anything that was in English. So, except for some obscure German videos. Yeah. So that's basically it. And how long can it take a native English speaker to learn a language like German? How long can it take? It can take you a year, or it can take you forever. It really depends on how you do it. It's the same for every language. If you move here, you're going to learn it within like a year or a year and a half. If you don't go to school, it's going to take you very long, because you're going to probably have to do a lot of things that do not relate to that at all. So it really depends on how you go about learning it. If you look for some sort of speech community that maybe can help you get there or whatever. Do you know the duck song? Yeah, I do. Ab du Heini, oh Mann, der war echt gut. Okay, also, Katja, I have Goethe Institute in my city, and I'm considering to start taking courses this summer. Do you think it's a good first step? Yes, definitely, do that. They're qualified, that's basically, that's what they do, so do it. And you can still stray from that and do stuff more, you know, in accordance to what you think would help you specifically. But especially in the introductory phases, I think it's very good to have some sort of course that guides you. What's the best way to move to Germany in terms of visas and programs offered? I don't know anything about that. I've never had the position of having to apply for a visa to Germany, so I don't know about that. But I know that there are exchange programs and everything, and that I think it's relatively easy to get in here to study and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. You're welcome, Arash. Are there any things that you don't like living in Germany? There are, but I would have to really sit down and think about what all of them are. I think there's some tiny or like little problems that come up here and there. Generally, I'm very content living here. So let's just put that out of the way. You know, I'm how people think here, the general mentality, and just how we interact and stuff like that. But for example, the social aspect, something I mentioned in episode 11, something that I'm annoyed by every now and then is the relatively distant behavior in everyday life. You normally don't greet each other if you don't know each other well. And you generally, wait for other people to make the first step in an interaction, because otherwise you assume that it's just not important enough to have some sort of interaction. And I wouldn't say we're cold, although some people that come from warmer cultures perceive it that way. Like I said, once you warm up with us, Germans are very, very, you know, friendly and warm and welcoming and open, and will go out of their way to make you feel good. On the other hand, we're very blunt, so we don't do a lot of formalities, which is actually something I like, but I see how some people would maybe not like that. So, you know, you're not gonna, you know, that whole thing with you get offered something and then you say, no, I don't want anything, to be friendly, and then they say, no, you have to have something. Here, it's relatively normal that if you say, I don't want anything, you don't want anything, right? Which is also why I got relatively annoyed at people who saw the announcement I posted, like, when was that, Thursday-ish? Thursday, Friday, where I said everything was fine. I'm just, you know, I looked sort of, I don't know what I was, exhausted, concentrating. I think it was just thinking about what was I going to do after recording that first video. Anyway, some people, despite my saying, I'm fine, everything's good. They said, I can see you've been crying, and I can see you're sad and down, and stuff like, I know when this lady says everything's all right, something is horribly wrong, and all that stuff. And I would say in general, I would imagine, I would like to think that in general that's not the way it is, but I can't speak for everybody. But for me, and I feel that's something very German, that when you say something is the way it is, it normally is that way. So we can deal very well with having to read between the lines socially. Some of us certainly, I personally suck at that especially. So maybe I'm just trying to explain that away somehow, but I feel that's a relatively German thing, to just take people by the word. Do you speak Spanish? If you say so, say something. Nope. I can read Spanish, and I think I can do most of the sounds, but no. Sadly, no. If I had the option in school, I probably would have picked Spanish over French, just because of my personal preferences. But no, I didn't have the option, so I don't know any Spanish, sadly. But I might pick up on the basics at some point, at least. I was going to recommend the Android word game Two Birds, played in German. It's a Boggle-like game without the time pressure. It shows you whether a word is valid or not, so just guess words with a bunch of G and N sounds and look up the meaning after. That said, I haven't played in a while. Yeah, I like these games, and I find they always make you stick to this kind of stuff a bit longer usually, but sometimes they're just gonna end up in the sidelines as well. But thanks for the recommendation. I hadn't heard of that yet. What's your level of Russian? I think I'm like at. I'm supposed to be a B1-ish, a bit below that, I think. Я начала изучать в апреле. Да, в прошлом апреле. Прошлом, не знаю. Но я думаю, что я плохо говорю, потому что я не знаю много слов. И поэтому это очень трудно еще. Да. So very rudimentary, very toddlerish speak. So I don't know a lot of idiomatic speech yet. But at some point I'll get there. And like I said, I'm going to Petersburg, so expecting that to help quite a bit. All right. Now I gotta sort again. What? It's already been an hour. What the fuck? I'm sorry, guys, because that I don't catch up on what you're writing that fast. Like I said, today the comments aren't refreshing automatically. So I just refresh when I get to the top of the page. So I'm really sorry that I don't pick up on answers to things I say. I know that's kind of frustrating. But try my best to address it. Holy shit, it's so far down. All right. Skurore. Exactly, Tony. Skurore. Thanks for taking the time to teach German to us Ausländers. It's very much appreciated. I'm happy to hear that. You should get an assistant to help with your videos. Of course, I'm volunteering, but you shouldn't have a problem finding someone. Well, thank you, Will. I'm going to assume that's your name. I've thought about that, but I'm very used to. I'm bad at compartmentalizing. I always get, I'm one of those. I guess that's like you call that a narcissistic strain. I have a very hard time of letting go of things. Getting into the deep psychoanalytic parts of Katya here. So I like to do things myself, or be in charge of things myself. I could have delegated already. I should. But I don't know. I take a certain pride in being a one-woman show, which is stupid, but I just do. Yeah. I don't have an Instagram account. I downloaded the program like a month after it came out, and I was like, the fuck did I need this for? And then I deleted it again, and then got popular. Hipster. And I just never, yeah, no. It's amazing how huge the community is, but people don't need to see pictures of my food or my morning routine, which probably isn't my morning routine. So, no. The short answer is no, I don't. Maybe I'll get one sometime, but I'll probably, it would die because I just don't feel important enough to post every detail of my daily schedule. I was wondering if German unions actually offer transportation tickets, etc., for those coming outside EU. Yeah, of course. If you sign up to a university, if you go through all of that stuff, you can get everything somebody that lives here can get connected to university. I don't know how it is about BAföG, so the help you can get from the state. That's probably going to be less likely, financial help. But I would imagine that it would be possible for you to get something from your own country to, support you when you go abroad. Yeah. I'm holidaying in Germany right now and spent 5 days hiking in the Sächsische Schweiz. Yeah, awesome. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. AmA. And it's just some of the nicest hiking around. The Painter's Way, or Malerweg, is highly recommended. I went when I was like, I think 12-ish, so I don't remember any of the terms or names. I just remember that I was blown away with how beautiful it was. Have you ever visited the USA? Yeah, I was in Raleigh, I think. Yeah, in Raleigh for a month. So North Carolina. And then I did like a few years later, after school, I organized a trip myself where I just traveled through cities for 6 weeks. So I went to Boston, Niagara Falls, or Buffalo, Niagara Falls. That was kind of stupid because there's nothing in Buffalo. There wasn't even a grocery store near where I had my hostel, but whatever. So Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Chicago, Memphis, New Orleans. Then I had a 27-hour train ride to North Carolina again, and I went to Washington, Baltimore, Philly, New York, and then Boston again. So that was 6.5 weeks, I think. And that was very interesting, taught me a lot. So, yeah. Hey, greetings from Heidelberg. Do you have the feeling that more and more English words are used in German, kind of Anglicism, and is that a bad thing in your opinion? Definitely. Anglicismus. Is that a bad thing? It annoys me sometimes because with some things I just figure why not use the German word, especially when the German word is still well within, is still being used. For example, 3 or 2 decades ago, even you would have referred to a computer as a Rechner, which literally means calculator. But calculator is referred to as Taschenrechner in German, so pocket calculator, so you could still differentiate between the two. Nowadays, because computer is just so international and except in French, of course, ordinateur. Télécharger avec l'ordinateur. Sorry. I just like how French has their own words for everything, it seems. So anyway, since computer, for example, you wouldn't use Rechner anymore unless you were very involved with computers already at the time when they were still being called Rechner. So in general, the evolvement of a language, I think you're going to have a bad time if you're going to consider everything that changes about a language bad. But I don't think it's necessary. I think that's the thing I would go with. For example, certain fields of study require you to use certain terms because it's referring to a certain thing, a certain process, or whatever within that field of study, to not get it confused with a more general understanding of the term in German. So that's fine. It annoys me a bit when people just sprinkle English everywhere they can in their everyday speech. But I really can't complain too much about that because I constantly forget. I just forget German words, and I have to, or not forget, but you know, they don't come to mind, and I have to use the English one instead. So I can't really complain about that too much. But yeah, it's definitely getting more. And like I said, I wouldn't necessarily I think it's bad, but I'm not thrilled with it either. I don't think it's necessary. I think the ideal thing is to know, to be able to say whatever you want to say in German, and then if you feel that it adds a certain specificality or something to your language, say it in English anyway. But in the end, everybody can decide for themselves, of course. What are your tips for training my ear to listen to German? It might sound stupid, but just listen to German, really. I hear this complaint about Duolingo that you're bringing up every now and then. Apparently, Duolingo is a good start, which that's really nice. But apparently, after a certain point, they don't prepare you for actual conversation well enough. So that's a known problem with the program. So again, find authentic input, videos, movies, music, and try to talk to people. It's going to be awkward at first, but people are very nice normally about, helping you talk. I'm contemplating going to the Union Wien, since Austria is a country adjacent to ours. Is German in Germany and in Austria a lot different? Yeah, Österreichisch, so Austrian German, is definitely a lot different from standard Hochdeutsch. It's relatively close to Bayerisch, so the dialect that is spoken in Bavaria. It's not as far from it as Swiss German, which is considered its own language. But if you only learn German within Austria, people are going to recognize that you learned German in Austria. So that's probably the best way to put it. That can be sometimes very cute, though. So I've met people who speak very good German, but speak it with a dialect. And that's kind of funny. Or who speak very good German, and it's obvious still that they're, not native Germans. And you can notice that they learned to speak German only with a dialect, is the way I should put it. Hey, Katja, what's your favorite video game of all time? Oh, boy. That's a tough question. Well, a game that's always going to have a special place in my heart is the Donkey Kong Country series. And a game that probably, so few people know, except for, it has probably it's better to mention the game first. I played a game named Jazz Jackrabbit 2 as a child intensively. I knew every nook and cranny of that game without a guide. I would never do that today. I'll always just look stuff up if I'm too bored with finding certain secrets or whatever. Oh, sin. Yeah, Jazz Jackrabbit 2. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick that one. It's you're a green rabbit who runs around and has to save the world from evil turtles in combination with your red kind of crazy little brother who's also a rabbit, obviously. And I played that a lot alone, and I played a lot with my sister, and it was just the best. And I think it kind of solidified my love for platformers or 2D jump and run games. A more recent game I really loved was Child of Light, which is not very action-packed or anything, but it's absolutely beautiful. The first time I played, the music made me cry. It just hit me in the heart, my heart nerves. The fields, and yeah. But if we're gonna start on recent games, that's way too hard to pick. But definitely Jazz Jackrabbit 2 and the Donkey Kong Country series, especially Donkey Kong Country 2. So thanks for the question. I love talking about video games. It seems that I can only befriend people from either Niedersachsen or Bavaria. That's an interesting mix. So I guess if I do go for a visit, I'll be doing a road trip across the country. That sounds good. That's probably the best way to go. If you have the time and the money for that, do that. But I also heard that techno music is quite popular in German clubs in general, and in Berlin's clubs in particular. Yeah, I've heard that too. So that would be a good reason for me to visit Berlin. Yeah. I never knew that techno music was especially popular here. I just know that like the hardcore stuff, and all that stuff kind of, and then of course you have Scooter. So yeah, I guess we're kind of electronic music thingy along with the Dutch. Yeah. Speaking of German places, have you ever been to the Rhön Biosphere Reserve in Hessen, Bayern, Thüringen? I'm there for the next week. I don't think I've ever been. I've probably driven through it a few times, but someone from my family goes there pretty much every summer, so you could definitely look forward to going there, especially at this time of year. Random comment, I've always been impressed by your hat and teddy bear collection. Whew! Do you know how many of each you have? Greets from sunny Freiburg. Oh, Freiburg is also nice. Never been there, but yeah. Hats, they can actually count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I gotta start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. Teddy bears would take way too long to count, but I have a lot of them. It's not even like I can't really call myself a collector because I've never spent a ridiculous amount of money on a teddy bear, but I don't know. They just kind of accumulated since childhood, and I can't get myself to get rid of them, so I just say I collect them now. So problem solved, right? Können wir rauskommen statt heraus? Yeah, exactly. That's what I explained earlier. Talking to myself. That's how I learn languages. Yeah, that's how I learned English. And how I continue to learn English. Do you speak French? What's that? What code is that? U0001 F60A. What codified thing is that? Is that a smiley? Like I said earlier, I speak a bit of French. I learned French in school. Spanish, no. Normalerweise, wie viele Versicherungen hat ein Deutscher? Luckily, I haven't had to deal with that too much yet. So how many insurances does a German have on average? Car, I don't know, not everybody has a life insurance, but of course medical, old age. I don't know. Don't remind me, I'll have to deal with that someday. I don't know why I'm so, I'm sitting here trembling, or not trembling, but like, I'm hibbelig, is what we call that in German, hibbelig. I'm like, moving a lot, all the time. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing that. Hello, do you live in Germany? Yes. And which province, to be exact, Bundesland? I live in Baden-Württemberg, north of Baden-Württemberg. What is the best method to teach oneself to think in German? Do it. Really, I may sound obvious, stupid, or like aloof here, but do it. That's respond to spoken German. One must think in German. By the time I figure out what is being said, the conversation is over. Yeah, and that's gonna stay that way for a while. I have the same problem with Russian. I hear the word and I know that word. What does it mean? That's what it means. What does the word mean I want to reply with? That's the word I want to reply with. And then it's like 3 sentences later. That's just how it is. You're going to get past that by listening to a lot more conversations and sitting there being awkward and trying your best to reply if people let you. So find people who will let you. Or even better, try to have dialogues with people. But it's also fine to just sit in and listen to people for a while, because you learn through that. And then, like I said, force yourself to think in German. Talk to yourself in German. I'm not shitting you about this. Do it. when you talk to your computer or your car or other people driving when you're angry, do that in German. Somehow you'll figure it out. And somehow you'll always have a sentence where you're like, ah, damn, I'm missing out one word to make that sentence. And you go home and you look that word up and you form that sentence, and the next time around you'll know it. That's how you do it. Your French pronunciation is really good. Oh, merci. Just need to work a little on your grammar. Yeah, no shit. No, really, I suck at all that stuff. I normally get, conjugation and all that stuff right, but I talk a lot with my hands and my feet in French. But I seem to have an ear, at least. Although I always found it's very nice to read that my French pronunciation sounds good to you, Nada, because I feel like my French pronunciation, I know how it should sound, but I can't quite get there. Ah. Gotta drink something before my throat dries out. Hey, how's it going? Been a long time subscriber from, well, I think one of the teens videos. Wow, that was like, I didn't even have, I think I had like 200 subscribers when I got to 17. So, wow, you've been around for quite some time. Can't remember. Love how you teach German. You make it fun. I'm planning to a holiday between September and October to a beautiful country like you, new language. Oh, that's nice to hear. And again, it's always nice to hear when people stick with it longer, or not longer. What kind of English is taught there? American or British? You start with British, and it sticks with British for a long time until like 7th grade, and then in 8th grade you do a little course into American English, and after that students are kind of like free to decide. And normally, if you have any extracurricular involvement with the English language, which by now is kind of unavoidable, you're gonna have a gravitation towards one or the other. Although most people here speak a certain mix, which I credit to English in school being largely British, while pop culture is almost entirely in American English. So most people do this weird mix between really, really, really British and really, really, really American. And some people have asked me on here why I don't speak British English and why so many Germans seem to speak American English, and that's exactly the reason. And that ties back into the whole, how do I practice a language? The exposure you have is going to shape how you speak a language. Also going back to the Austrian German, if you only hear Austrian German talked around you, you're going to speak Austrian German, unless you already spoke German before that or have another source that gives you Hochdeutsch. And that's the same with English. And also the reason why many people speak so mixed, because they can't quite, make their tongue figure out which way to go. Because some words they remember instinctively as having been pronounced with a British accent, and some they remember as having been pronounced with an American accent. Happens to me too. For example, when I say London, I'm always more inclined to say London. I'm from London. Do you know London? Do you want to go to London with me? That's a very simple example, because obviously London is the epitome of British, but yeah. Oh, somebody already answered the scholarship question for me. Perfect. Yeah, you can. There's definitely quite some opportunities for people to get scholarships to go to Germany, within Germany. If I ever go to Germany, but my level of German isn't that good, will people get annoyed if I ask them to speak a little English? No. Actually, that's a very cute concern, because once you get here, you will notice that you'll have a much harder time in convincing people to actually speak German to you. Because once they notice that you're more comfortable in English, probably, or they assume you might be, they'll just speak English to you unless you really insist on speaking German. So you don't have to be worried about that at all. Of course, if it's urgent or whatever, stick to English. But no, if people agree to practice with you or talk to you at all, they won't be annoyed at you. The biggest thing is maybe that they'll amuse themselves about something you said behind your back. But Mercedes-Benz or BMW? Not a big fan of either. I'd probably go with BMW, but both are perceived to be asshole drivers in Germany. So, and I'm not big on cars, really. Very cliche. For me, a car has to be able to get me from A to B and be relatively safe, and I'm happy. How much does it cost to rent a flat in Germany for a student on average? That really depends on where you're studying. Generally, cities that are used to having a lot of students, because there's a university there, will know their clientele. The prices are then normally very dependent on how crowded the city is, how big the university is, and how much dormitories there are available. So are people forced to look for apartments, or can they also live in the dormitories? If the latter is true for pretty much everyone, because there's enough dorms, then the prices won't be as high. I think Berlin is, of course, because it's Berlin, it's relatively high, but it's still relatively affordable for being relatively high, I would say. Sorry, if you're looking for a like an apartment only for yourself, I wouldn't go. Well, it depends on the city again. For some, you might be able to go below that and find something well, and for some, you'll have to go a bit higher. I'd say around 300 euros a month, including facilities. And if you're gonna take a room within WG, Wohngemeinschaft, so living with other people, for a room, I'd go at about 200 to maybe 300, but 300 is pretty high for just a room. But like I said, that depends on the city that you're going to study in. Okay, guys, I have to refresh the comments again. Come on. Right, now I have to scroll down again. Does Einstein mean one rock? Technically, yes. Yeah. Your voice changed from English to Russian. Is the vodka you're drinking? That's funny. That's an observation I've actually made myself too. Your voice always changes when you speak another language, or at least it does for me. For example, this is how I speak English, and my German voice is relatively similar. Also wenn ich Deutsch spreche, klingt's ja so, wie ich eben jetzt rede, aber nicht genauso. Also ich finde zum Beispiel, ich spreche etwas tiefer, wenn ich Deutsch spreche. Normally, I think when I speak German, I sound a bit more, first of all, a bit more serious, and also a bit lower. When I speak Russian, I sound even lower, I think. And when I speak Japanese, for example, you always kind of sound more chipper, more, I don't know. But for all of the languages, of course, it highly depends on what you're saying. And for Russian, for example, since I don't know a lot of stuff to say yet, and I have to think a lot before I speak, I can't speak freely, and that automatically makes my voice go down as well. Though no, it's not from the vodka I've been drinking. Yeah, I know you don't have to post pictures of your food on Instagram, but it's the whole cliche about it, right? Yeah, I mean, you can do beautiful galleries with that, you know, but I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. So far, I just haven't been into Instagram, and I feel like I'm not a very social networky person. You can see it on my Twitter. You know, some people make like 5 posts a day, and I'm lucky if I do 2 a week. But yeah. Yeah, before I get to the other ones chronologically, this is indeed where you leave questions. Is very pro player. Sorry. This you just type in comments. Normally it should come as a live feed for me, but I just have to reload the page today. I don't know. You went to the American Niagara Falls, but the Canadian side is so much better. I considered going over there, but then I heard that coming back over the bridge could be kind of complicated because people ask you to, I don't know, they have like an actual border patrol on the bridge. So I just didn't bother because I figured, you know, because I went on that boat ride, the Maid of the Mists, and I didn't need the whatever it is on the other side, the casinos or whatever it is, the amusement park. But yeah, maybe I should have gone over there. Maybe I, you know, wouldn't have been so stupid to set foot in Canada. Is it relatively easy? You're just asking university questions. Is it relatively easy to get flats or rooms in university for foreigners? It's the same for foreigners and German students. I would say, of course, you're going to get some people who will prefer a German, but I know plenty of people who share their apartments with foreigners, or who even rent out a room in the apartment that actually they are renting, you know, who rent out a room within that to a foreigner who's like staying for a while. So it can be a bit harder, but I wouldn't say it's. I think you'll do fine. There might even be some people who specifically look for foreigners to rent to because they know they're going to leave after a while, but I don't know. From what I've seen, heard, whatever, it's not that hard. Of course, it's always easier if you already know a person there, but that's of course not always guaranteed. But you can get places in dormitories, and that you should have, you know, that's not going to be harder or easier for you than for German students. So that's always a way to go. If it makes it any better, sometimes I sprinkle German words into my sentences when speaking English, right? Good to see somebody does that the other way around too. So suggest some German songs. I have a playlist called German Music on my channel, and I also have episode 25 in which I recommend bands. Do you have trouble with the word dla? I can't for the life of me pronounce it correctly. Dla, dla, dla. No, not particularly. Sometimes with the usage, because I sometimes slip it to how you use it for in English. No, I want to do this for. I'm looking for. Whatever. Sprichst du Schweizerdeutsch? Nein, natürlich nicht. Vor ein paar Tagen habe ich das Wort Draxwichser gelernt. Und was habe ich noch gelernt? Kirche. Kirche, natürlich. Sorry, ich mache es total kaputt. Und, oh Gott, was war das Züricher Wort dafür? Kräler, glaube ich. Ja, nein. Also, though I don't speak Swiss German. I would love to, though. It sounds so... Seit wann ist Schweizerdeutsch eine eigene Sprache? Ich hatte bisher immer den Eindruck, es wäre eine eigene, also beziehungsweise war unter dem Bewusstsein ist da eine eigene Sprache. Okay, also ich lese jetzt nicht den ganzen Wikipedia-Artikel, Simon, aber soweit ich weiß, wird Schweizerdeutsch zumindest, also es wird zumindest, wie sagt man, it's debated whether or not Swiss German is its own language. Do you like to draw? Did you draw the picture for your avatar? It's really nice. Thank you, Lea No Fro. It's not nearly as nice as the picture you drew for me. That's I still have that on my desktop. Thank you for that again. By the way, what's your real name? By the way, I don't. Think you mentioned that. But yeah, I did draw the picture for my avatar. And I do like to draw, although I don't get to do it anymore that often. But I try to keep in shape by doodling when I'm in uni. Yeah. Games! The last game I tried was the Norwegian game called Dreamfall Chapters, adventure style with multiple choices with a female protagonist. I really liked it. Have you heard of it? I have. Never played it though. Another game question. Hope you don't mind. Do you know a game called Brothers? Yes, a baby cry. It's lovely. It requires an Xbox controller. Blah blah blah. Yeah. I can actually check how long it took me to play that. Now that you mentioned that it took you 4 hours. Let me see how long it took me. Yeah, 4 hours. Yeah, lovely game. A bit awkward to get used to with the 2 sticks, but really interesting system and very intriguing. The whole storytelling through basically no verbal explanation. It works really well, and it's really, really emotional. Love that. Yeah, really nice game. Do they still speak German in Alsace-Lorraine today? I think so, yeah. My lovely Mr. Singing Club. What a beautiful weather. Hör auf rumzutrollen. On that note, hast du there's this video connected to the movie Friendship by Matthias Schweighöfer, where they did this short clip of the 2 main actors doing a little conversation, the German-English dictionary, and they basically just translate stuff verbally from German into English. Along with that, my lovely Mr. Singing Club, mein lieber Herr Gesangsverein, which is like, gosh golly, and stuff like that. I think you spider. Ich glaube, du spinnst. So, think you're a bit crazy. Thinking of the language is the best feeling in the world. Yeah. Just knowing that you can think in a different language. Yeah. Hi there. Do you speak Spanish? Nope. Sadly, I don't. Do you go to any music festivals in Germany? I'm trying to go to the South Side. Oh, South Side is pretty big by now, right? I've been to festivals, but I'm not a big fan of living in a tent. I'm too for that. So I prefer going to single concerts. I would go to festivals again if like, I don't know, I liked like 75% of the lineup, but normally I like 3 bands and the rest I don't even know. So normally, that's a bit, overdoing it probably, but yeah. Do you have any recommendations for movies or maybe TV series? Yes, go watch episode 48. That's where I compiled it. Strawberry. Huh? Strawberry? Rawberry. Try Power Thirst. Oh, damn, that's a dated reference. Ba, ba, ba. What language do you speak in your head when you simply go through the day? Like thinking, I don't know, because I don't think you ever reflect on thinking stuff unless you are like ready to speak it out. But when I actually, voice out my thoughts, they're normally in English. I always say like 70 to 80% of my everyday myself conversations are in English. I also shout at other people in English when I'm in my car, normally. But it mixes. I would say it's like 70% English, which may be kind of weird, but that's part of just kind of training myself to do that at some point, to practice English. Can you tell me about the differences between German language exams? Which one is the best for applying to a university? I can't help you with that. Again, ask at a Goethe Institute. They're the people who can help with that. I sometimes confuse German with English, so that might be because I'm Japanese and we use different characters than alphabets. Does it happen to you too? It happens to me, yes, but I think it's a bit different. It's more like if you were to confuse Japanese with English. But you know, it's not completely random for you, I think, because, you know, Japanese being from a completely different family of languages, and German and English being both being Germanic languages and therefore being a lot closer to each other than to Japanese, I could see how that happens. And well, English is all around, and from what I see, there's a relatively high interest in German things in Japan still, right? So maybe also through that, like, or it's just your association to these are two languages I'm learning. And that's actually what kept happening to me when I was learning French in school and Japanese at home, and what still sometimes happens to me for Russian and French, where I just don't think consciously about something, and my brain will go, wait, I know this word, and then it's in the other language that I'm not speaking right now. Whoops. So I think that's just of, you know, how your brain forms when it's learning languages. I don't know too much about brain science, but which is obvious from the fact that I'm just saying brain science without any more specific no shit. But you know, you get what I'm saying. I don't know the exact how the synapses work with in regard to that, but I'm sure it's in some way because of how you know, your brain is aware these are both languages I'm learning, and most of the time it's able to compartmentalize, but sometimes it just slips up. That's how I would explain it. Probably not perfectly accurate. Meaning of Vambology. Don't know. Do you play League of Legends? Not anymore. I still watch it. Watched MSI yesterday. Yeah. Had high hopes and got crushed. But no, I got a bit discouraged after the huge jungle changes, because I didn't really play jungle, but that basically threw me off of trying to get into it at all, because I didn't play a lot. I was very, very casual, like Silver 2 last season. And now I haven't even done my placement, so effectively I'm not playing it at the moment, no. How much does the average apartment Wohnung cost? Maybe around Munich and such, 500K. About that, I really don't know anything. Although Munich is one of the most expensive cities in Germany, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot higher there. But yeah. Can you maybe explain why English is that good? I've done that a few times by now in the other Hangouts. I know it's tedious to search through them, but I'm kind of tired of it. Oh, somebody, sorry, I'll get to that in a second. I'm way too ADD sometimes. Get distracted by some things. Basically, good volunteer course, elementary school. After that, normal lessons in school in 5th grade, starting 5th grade. Good ear for pronunciation. Listen to stuff, watch stuff, read stuff, wrote stuff. Mostly on the internet, watched videos, watched anime with English subtitles, watched shows, blah, blah, blah. And started talking to myself in English. That's basically the time frame. How many languages can you speak? I speak English and German at a level that I'm satisfied with. I speak French. I could survive if I had to, I guess. Same with Russian. I would say I'm a bit better in Russian by now than French, maybe? No, probably not. Rudimentary Japanese. I can understand a lot through watching anime, just being used to hearing the language. I learned stuff on my own for a few years, so I could survive in Japanese as well, and I would probably get adapted to it relatively quickly. But I can't say I speak Japanese. I wouldn't be that arrogant. Latin, took Latin in school, but I don't speak it because we don't learn it that way here. And then I knew snippets of other languages. Do you speak Arabic? Nope. I can say shukran, and that's it. Which is an important word, so. It's like the more languages you speak, the easier it is to learn others. I definitely say so. Alone, even if they're not related or anything, you can always say, oh, this is not like in that language, so it's a different system and it's closer to this. And, oh, they have cases and this language doesn't have cases, and they conjugate and they don't. How do the tenses work here in comparison to others? And, for example, Latin helps me with Russian, even though Russian is not connected to Latin at all, to very little, but it helps me in having studied language with a rich grammatical system before, and knowing that for that you need to study it, how you go about it, how you're systematic about it, blah blah blah. So that's just an example. I definitely think that the more you know, the faster you'll at least get into the basics of a new language. Yeah, Tony, I've noticed that when people speak German, they tend to speak with a slightly deeper voice. Like I said, I think so too. I think I speak. For me, I speak. My tongue is getting jumbled. Yeah, I've observed that too. Damn, I can't sit that deep, or I have to adjust my webcam. Hello. All right. Come on. Move. Oh, ich bin aufgedreht ohne Ende. How long do you think it takes to learn a language at a B2, B1 level? Depends on if you're taking a course or not. Yeah. Sorry, I just got stuck because I read some other two comments. This is kind of demanding, guys. Oh, my life is so hard. Sorry. How long do you think it takes to get to a B2, B1 level? Could take you a year, could take you 2, could take you forever. I think a realistic time frame would be about a year or 2 years, if you're taking courses especially. I'm so happy that you can speak a little bit of Japanese, because I'm Japanese and I'm studying German. Wee! Sugoi! Gamatte ne. Can girls aim where to pee? If so, do you like to pee on the side of the toilet to make Sorry. Okay. Can girls aim where to pee? If so, do you like to pee on the side of the toilet to make less noise, or do you pee in the middle to assert dominance? I've never thought about that before, but I'm definitely gonna make sure to pee in the middle now to make everybody recognize my power. I read that college in Germany is now 100% free. Is that true? No. The reason that news was so big and was kind of confusing to Germans is because the last federal state let go of tuition, which, however, does not mean that there is no fee at all. We still have administrational fees, which are absolutely ridiculous when you compare them to American tuition fees, but it's still important to point out that it's not like zero everything. You pay about between 150 and 250, sometimes up to 300. It depends on the uni, but normally I would say 300 is the definite upper level. Most of the time I'd say you don't exceed 200 per semester. So it's not completely free. A few years back, like 5 years ago or so, or even a bit more, 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, they introduced tuition fees. They still weren't extremely high, and they still didn't exist in every federal state. They were at about like 300 to 500 euros a semester, a bit more in some, also slight variations depending on the uni. And they didn't introduce that in every federal state, but in about half of them or so. And then they started retracting that slowly and gradually. And then a few months ago, the last state, which I think at the time was Niedersachsen, removed tuition fees again. So there are no actual tuition fees anymore, but there are still administrational fees. So yeah, but it's very affordable still. Could you say what are some of your favorite German foods? Well, Schnitzel is definitely one of gotta eat Schnitzel when you come to Germany. And our bread, although I'm not the biggest fan of bread, but it's always one of the first things I miss when I go to other countries. Because that's when you notice that, you know, how you're hungry here. You just go, you walk like, I don't know, 10 meters to the next bakery and you get a brezel. You can't do that in England or wherever. So yeah. We also just meat in general. I am not a fan of braten, for example, so just cooked meats. I like when things are fried in a pan more than when they're just cooked through. But you know, of course, also cooked meats. Some variances are delicious. Sausages is something we also do well here. So I appreciate some things about the typical German cuisine. Not too big a fan, for example, of organs, so that's something I don't like, but other people are very fond of. So, you know, if you come here, you should like bread and meat. If you don't, it's not like you won't find anything to eat, but you'll miss out on a lot of traditional cuisine. And if you're going to start with a brezel and well, if you're in Bavaria, start with Brezel and Weißwurst, so white sausage, and also, of course, Schnitzel. Schnitzel. What do you recommend for someone who will be in Germany for a year? As in, what are some must-see things or things I should be aware of? I'm excited for Christmas time of there for the Weihnachtsmarkt. Yeah, well, that's one big thing, of course. And then, well, Easter is, I think, is more interesting when you're like in a family context because like the looking for eggs stuff, but that's something that they have in America too, or in other countries. Places to see, always hard to recommend. Basically, look what's beautiful in your area, ask the people about the area that you're going to be in, and you're probably going to get more detailed and a lot better tips than I could give you for the general thing, because a lot of the time the regionally recognized like little gems are a lot better even, and also hopefully often a lot less crowded than things that just, you know, might be known internationally or nationally. Other than that, certain times of year. Oh, of course, Fastnacht or Carnival. So it's like Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So people dress up and blah blah blah. It's all about dressing up, getting drunk, running around in the street with different colors on your face and stuff like that for about a week. So that's pretty fun, especially if you don't only do it once. Why don't you attach captions with your videos? I think it will be very helpful. I agree, it definitely would be, but it would also be a lot of work. So that's not something I can provide at the moment, sadly. But I agree, definitely. I also think it's great that a lot of people are doing this at the moment. We only have like 15 minutes to go. What the hell? Where did the time go? Come on, honey. Have you ever been to Portugal? When I was 8, I think. When I was 8, I went to Portugal. And I don't remember very much about, you know, what I saw and everything, but I remember it was a very nice time. I would definitely like to go again. I don't think I was in Lisbon back then. And if so, I don't remember. So yeah, definitely a place I should go to again. Viele Grüße aus Mexiko. Grüße nach Mexiko zurück. What are you studying? I'm studying to be a teacher for English and Russian. Sometimes when I watch your videos, I like to transcribe captions for them. It helps me learn when I type what they hear. That's very studious of you, Tony. Great. Maybe you could give the captions to me sometime and I can put them in the video. Greetings from Pennsylvania. Separable verbs have been a huge issue for me. Yeah. Have you had or are you planning on a video about them? Haven't made one yet, but I will be doing one. I just recently read Mark Twain's The Awful German Language. It's a very funny rant on his experience with the German language. I look forward to videos. Thank you so much for them. Well, thank you, Scott. I've been meaning to read The Awful German Language, especially because I heard there's a quote in there that rarely gets quoted, but it's actually quite interesting. Because from nowadays, how people always complain that German sounds so harsh, which is of course all dates back to the anti-Nazi propaganda and everything. Which of course I don't have anything against that, not the slightest bit. But I think people should start to get away from that whole German is so harsh thing. And the interesting thing to me is that in Mark Twain's this essay or book, he at some point I think mentions that to him in German everything sounds way too soft and too like it doesn't have any edge to it, and like everything is just way too you don't have any drive behind anything you say in German. So I found that quite interesting because it's a controversial or completely opposite of what people generally say of German when they don't know any German. Maybe I missed your answer, but it's Cologne an expensive city to live in? Don't know. I know it's a nice place, also something definitely worth visiting, but about prices, I can't say anything. Do you like any British comedians? Yeah. I really like Eddie Izzard. Like as a person, he just seems like a very interesting and nice person. Although I'm mostly like Dressed to Kill, the other programs were a bit underwhelming for me. Michael McIntyre, Dara Brian, and Ed Byrne, the other Irish guy. I really liked him, or liked. Well, Ricky Gervais is kind of a must-see. Not my favorite, which I guess is kind of a faux pas to say, but very very unique as well. And what's his face? Russell Howard. He's also quite funny. Yeah. So yeah, I like British comedians. And then of course, although a bit other generation, but Monty Python, of course. Do you have any tips for figuring out which words could be outdated? No, not off the top of my head. I can't think of any way you could go through a dictionary and go, words that look like this or have these prefixes or whatever are probably outdated. Can't really help you with that. I'm an amateur composer. Oh, that's why you have that. What do you call that in English? I don't know the word for the Notenschlüssel in English. In German, we call it a note key. So yeah, that's why that's your avatar, is what I wanted to say. I'm an amateur composer, and I really like your music intro and outro for DFA. Yes, thank you. It's really elegant. Have you created real music besides those? Yeah, I made some tunes for a video game project a friend of mine had once. I think she abandoned it at some point, but it was just like we played around with it. She made some concept art and developed stuff and blah blah blah, and I just had some fun with making music for that. However, no. I don't think I'm absolutely anti-musical or anything, but I don't think I have any specific particular talent in that direction. Especially like seeing other people improvise on the piano and everything just makes me feel very insignificant when it comes to that. I can play very well from memory. That's actually my favorite kind or way to play the piano. And I can play by ear, but that normally takes me a long time to figure out. So I wouldn't say I'm a virtuoso, but I'm not particularly talented with music. That's what I'm trying to say. Have you ever jumped in a different language? Yeah, English, definitely. Thank you, Tara. I can't sit here and watch, but I want to say have a good day. And although I don't watch your videos as much as I want to say thank you for them and thank you for your time. You're a nice person. Have a good day. Thank you, AmA. Oh my God, that's nice to hear. Do you guys have different computer systems over there? No. 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 I think that's international. I used Mac for like 10 years of my life. Something like that. And then I switched to Windows a few years ago because it's just the thing that's annoying me about Apple is their absolute, you can't have any variation with the hardware, and that's really stupid. That sucks balls. And I didn't want to build a Hackintosh because that's just too complicated, and I don't know enough about maintaining a computer system to be aware of why certain errors occur and everything. So yeah, of course we also have Linux, and there's more, right? Yeah, so it's the same as over there. I think that's been the same thing from the beginning. Yeah, I play video games. Are there a lot of Muslims in Germany? A lot of is relative. Our biggest minority are Turkish people. I think they're still the biggest minority, or at least they're a big minority. So among our minorities, there are a lot of Muslims, but in general, no. There's a bit of a panic from certain people here about that, but that's just silly. That's silly stuff, guys. How can you study 2 languages at the same time? What's your motivation? Silliness. I don't think it's intelligent to study so many, like to get into. Yeah, I taught myself the Arabic alphabet like a year ago or so, and I completely forgot about everything. Again, because I just didn't use it. So it's not always smart to have different things going on, but I'm too greedy when it comes to that. So generally my motivation is to know more languages, which is not a good motivation, people. But it seems to help. I'm stuck with Russian so far. Yeah, sorry about the delay in me answering questions. Since it's not live, like since I have to refresh everything, kind of hard. No, I won't say that said it's, yeah, or I could say it, but it's not, I'm not Korean, or what is that video? Please give me Coke. So I don't think that would be that funny. So don't know why I have Bonanza in my head now. I don't know. Sorry guys, I sometimes I skip stuff because I just try to keep up with when stuff gets posted, at least somewhat. What is your go-to beverage? Water, mostly. I like to drink like Coke every now and then, but generally, definitely water. Sorry. Okay. Okay. 5 tips to seem like a native. Oh, that's hard. You shouldn't ask this stuff a native that which is kind of, it's kind of funny, but it's like, I know about the systems of German and everything because I specifically got into thinking about it, and because I enjoy thinking about that. But generally, when you try to reflect about stuff that is inherent to you, you're going to take a while to be able to tell what is normal and what is your specific thing. So, for example, it would be much better if, for example, I were to move to, I don't know, Italy, and you were to ask me, how do I seem Italian? Because after living there for a while, I would notice like the discrepancies between what I normally, or before then, perceived to be normal and what is perceived to be normal in Italy. With having lived in Germany my whole life, it's really hard for me to tell what I consider normal and is normal within the Western world in general, or even internationally, and what is just normal in Germany. And I've actually made the observation in the past, sometimes, unfortunately, I don't have any specific examples for this anymore, but that there are things that I would have considered international that were perceived by other people as very noticeably German. So, yeah. What do you think about the voluntary service in Germany? I don't know exactly what you mean, like voluntary, like work for like the community, or like voluntary service in the army. Is that even possible when you're not German? I don't know. I filed the application, I sent the papers, but do you think it's good? If you're talking about like voluntary work in, like, I don't know, hospitals or schools or whatever, I think that's definitely like, even if you are German and doing that, it's you're definitely going to gain a lot of valuable experience from that. Yeah. So definitely, I think that's pretty low risk. Germany is relatively low risk with everything you can get yourself into. Do you watch Doctor Who? I started at some point, but couldn't stick with it. So I'm not a Whovian, no. I don't get references to Doctor Who either. Oh, I'm horrible. Sorry. Danke, merci, spasiba. Shukran for this live, Katja. You have answered some pretty important questions. I really appreciate it. Also, your videos are helpful to me. Thank you once again. And wish me luck with German. Viel Glück. Thank you, Bartel. I'm glad to hear you appreciate it so much. And I hope it will make it easier for you to study in Germany. Have you studied or casually learned much German history at all? I want to say duh, but I don't want to sound hurtful. We have standard history lessons here starting in 6th grade, I think. And after the more general stuff about like the whole of Europe, you pretty much, like, pretty fast get into German specific history. Most young Germans I've spoken to don't pay much attention to that and seem more forward-minded, which isn't a bad thing at all. Well, I don't know what exactly you mean. Of course, like with everything in school, you can choose to pay attention or not. And that's, I think, what a lot of people do. You can take a lot away from your history lessons in school, which, for example, I think I did about certain things and I did not so much about other things. If you're referring, like, indirectly trying to get at the World War II topic, we still get bashed over the head with that way too much, I think, in school as well. It's important to learn about it, and I would even agree with there having to be a certain focus on it. But I think it came up for me like 3 separate times within the course of my education, which has the upside that I know I'm really well informed about that era. But what I like about our history education is that we get it, we get a certain context, and we also learn other things, and we learn how it was before and after and how it came to be and everything, which is probably the most important thing about learning that, about that unfortunate piece of history. Because I know that many American schools, the Hitler regime is basically the only piece of German history they learn about, because of course it's important internationally and especially for like relevant to America. But then they don't learn any backgrounds or any how the developments after that were, which I consider extremely harmful in that context. And I've actually seen some of those, some of the consequences of that in some of my commenters. I've always enjoyed reading or discussing stuff like the Holy Roman Empire, the first unification of Germany. Yeah. So, like I said, we do learn about history. We start, I think they really start from the very beginning, like ancient Rome, Greece. I even vaguely remember learning some stuff about Mayan culture in 6th grade. And you go to the medieval ages, and then 30 Years' War is also an important sliver. And then after that, just, you know, the whole French Revolution, how that affected the world, how that bled into Germany. So basically just, you know, chronologically stuff, everything that happened. Yeah. Do you visit anime conventions? No. Sorry. I've been to Leipzig Buchmesse once, although that's not an anime convention, but it has like an anime thingy. No, and I'm not even particularly well informed on what anime conventions there are, because I've been out of the loop with anime since 2009-ish, or even already towards the end of 2008. The last I did watch Shingeki no Kyojin last year. That's already a year ago already as well. But before that, the last current anime I watched was Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I didn't even watch that when it came out anymore. I started watching it, like, I watched till episode 14. I was like, this is too different from the first one, and stopped. And then I watched it like 2 years later. So I'm really not like anime. I wish I were still watching it. I still haven't seen like the last 4 Studio Ghibli movies, which is insane. But yeah, I don't find the time for it anymore, and I don't find the motivation. I always find myself watching other shows. Could you give some general advice to those of us starting out or thinking about starting on YouTube? Well, I can't really give much insight on anything but the things that keep being brought up constantly. Have regular content, have good content, and ideally have content that appeals to a certain, see what's popular and go with that, which is something I don't follow very well, for example, because like I have my grammar agenda that I want to push through. But besides that, like I said, consistency. So you can't expect to grow a channel if you only upload like once every 2 months, or if you upload 3 videos in 1 week and then whatever. It's kind of like I'm doing at the moment, which I'm very grateful that I can afford to do this at the moment, because I've already grown a subscriber base. But in the beginning, I think consistency is very important, and consistently good content, because people notice whether or not you put work into your stuff or not. So if you're really serious about like not just putting stuff out there, but actually growing a subscriber base, growing an audience, growing a business, essentially growing a brand, maybe, you're gonna have to be kind of smart and businessy about it. So work with certain clickbait stuff. As unfortunate as that might be, try to attract people to what you think they might click on, which often is sex, controversial stuff. Like, I don't know. I think as long as you put something with feminism in the title, you can get people to click on anything at the moment. Or probably always. It's not like that's a development of the recent years, even though people sometimes try to claim it is. or religion, that kind of stuff. I'm getting into the really patronizing stuff here. I don't think that's what you want to do, but you get what I'm saying. Of course, try to appeal to people. If you're entirely on the business side, if you're not, try to make that which you are putting out, which I think is the better solution, just not the most money efficient one. The stuff you are putting out, make it as appealing as possible. Don't make the videos too long or too short. Upload them at least once a week. And in the beginning, you're gonna have to advertise for yourself on platforms that are appropriate for your videos. Yeah. For me, well, I just started doing it and didn't really have any particular expectations of how it would go. I think I hit 1,000 subscribers after 6 months, which I'm given to understand is already relatively fast, but not near the boom some other channels that have more easily digestible topics boom sometimes. So I guess with this niche of teaching a language and teaching it the way that I am, so as a reliable resource for good explanations for grammar, I found kind of, a little niche that is not something that will grow rapidly or explosively, I should say, but gets a consistent growth through people staying interested in it or being interested, So apparently I started this at a time where it was a good time to start a German teaching channel, which I wasn't really aware of at the time because I'd been planning to do this for like 3 years before that. So I just got lucky on that. And basically the one thing I was aware from the beginning was that I would have to produce regular content. And as well as I could, even though the last few weeks have not been a good example of that at all, I've tried to stick to that relatively strictly. Right, so I'm gonna refresh the comments once more now, or again in like 5 seconds. So if you have something else to ask it now. And then I'm gonna go through that pile and then I'm gonna wrap it up. Yeah. But damn, 2 hours is short, man. Has anyone asked you the customary, oh, you're German, can you say squirrel question? Actually, that came out during the last Hangout, I think. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Because if not, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you if you can say squirrel. Yeah, squirrel. It's not a mystic word. It's just with the it's a combination of sounds that first of all, are very straining on the tongue in general, and then we don't have the L and we don't have the R in German, so I guess that's where that whole thing comes from. And a lot of Germans will have trouble with it, but it's not like it's impossible for a German tongue to pronounce it. So, squirrel. Squirrel, 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 squirrel. All right, so I just wait for like another minute, and then I'll refresh. Damn, my video quality is horrible at the moment. What the hell? And off comes the hat. Yeah, I don't know. Like, my internet connection is kind of horrible at the moment, or has been for the last few days. I was hoping it wouldn't be that way today. So I'm guessing that's why the video is kind of sucky. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm refreshing the video, the comments now. Blup. Okay, wait. I gotta find the last thing. Oh yeah, I did reply to that dinosaur omelet. Yeah, when the poor, what was it, owl? That was so sad. Can you say my name, please? Oh, Jesus. Well, if you promise you won't be mad, moi Jahir is how I would pronounce it. What is that pink thing beside you? That's a gymnastic ball is what we call that. So a yoga ball or I normally don't use it for gymnastics. I use it to sit on. Are you a big fan of love stories? I don't have anything against love stories, but I'm not a romance novel fan, if that's what you're asking. If they're well executed and if the characters are shaped well and if we have a connection, an emotional connection to the characters beforehand, and if there's an actual reasonable interest in two characters being romantically involved, then I like love stories, yeah. But I hate forced stuff where it's basically all just about, yeah, let's jump into bed. Unless I guess it's porn. In porn you don't need stories. Take your top off. No. Howdy, I'm planning to visit Germany this summer, but unfortunately I barely speak German. Few greetings, something like that. Can I communicate with normal German people with English? Absolutely no problem. If you don't go to the absolute outback, and even there, you know, it's pretty common to speak English, at least at a basic level in Germany. So you got to run with English, but I would encourage you to learn German anyway. But I guess you're already just in that. So yeah. Have you ever visited countries in Asia? No, sadly I haven't. But I want to go. Which country do you want to visit and why? Oh, well, I want to go to Japan, and I want to go to China, and to Indonesia, and Malaysia. So, but then again, you know, I want to go to many places in the world still. But sadly, I haven't been to Asia at all. India would also be interesting. Although I have to admit that the East Asian countries are kind of more my focal point of interest. But my dream would be to see at least most of the world by the time I can't travel anymore. Warst du schon mal in Hagen? Nein. Bist du eine Vielreiserin? Ja. Ja, theoretisch. Also, ich schaffe es nicht immer so viel zu reisen, wie ich das gerne hätte, aber wenn ich die Zeit habe, ja. Wo warst du schon mal? Where have I been? A lot of places. I've been to North America, to a lot of places around Europe. By now I've been to Africa as well. So I haven't been to Asia or Australia or Antarctica. Around Europe, I haven't been to every country, but I've been to most countries in Europe. And some of them I've been to several places. Wir haben bis der 8. Klasse noch gar nichts über den Zweiten Weltkrieg gemacht. Krass. Okay. Ich glaube, in der 8. hatte ich schon. Aber da ging es, glaube ich, gerade los. Wohnst du zufällig in Mannheim oder Heidelberg? Nicht ganz, aber nah dran. I like German people. You're lucky to live in Germany. Yeah, I am. Compared to many other places I could live, I'm very fortunate. Hey, ich komme aus Neuseeland. Jetzt wohne ich in Ludwigsburg, Baden-Württemberg, aber mein Deutsch ist nicht gut. Well, that sounded pretty proficient for saying your German isn't good. I have found your videos very helpful. Awesome. I started watching them before moving to Germany in February and then started learning Deutsch properly when I got here. It's very challenging, but I'm really enjoying it. Thanks. Well, thank you, Theo. Very happy to hear I could help out. And like I said, the sentence you did write sounded good. Yeah. If you hadn't said you were from New Zealand, I would have believed you were from here. I made it. I feel so happy. Aw. Thanks for all you do. Aw, thank you, David. So nice of you to still stop by. An interest to visit Asia, like I said. I think Japan is probably my like the like my number one thing in Asia. Partly because I already speak some Japanese, and because I've had visual impressions from there. The same is true for China, though. So, oh, another one I forgot was Cambodia, because you have to go to that place I don't know how to correctly pronounce, or if the Angkor Wat, you know, that huge, awesome ruin that's like looks like this thing in the Jungle Book movie from Disney. So lots of places to see in Asia. Someone from Brazil is watching you. Oh, thank you for teaching us German. 2 hours hangout is really hard. Poor Katya. Well, it's kind of I noticed in my throat, but honestly, it didn't feel like 2 hours. I'm kind of sad. It's coming to an end already, but I still have to do some homework. I find problems with pronouns. It's so hard. I'm Sonia from Morocco. I want some advice from you how to start learning German language. Well, the obvious answer for me, of course, is watch my videos. Pronouns, like your personal pronouns, because the thing with that is basically if you have trouble understanding the system behind them, which I think is better, but you can always just learn them by heart. So learn them in every case, and about some rules when to use which one, and that'll give you a good start. And if you're not into systematic language learning that much, again, get a base, try exposure, like German, listening to German. Planst du genau, wann du welches Thema lehrst? No. So do you exactly plan when to teach which topic? No, not really. Well, I have a certain scheme of what I think would be important next. So for example, if I want to say, when I started doing the tenses, I was like, okay, and after that, it's probably best to do the other things that relate to, structuring a sentence similar to tenses, but aren't really tenses. So passive, conjunctive is coming up as well. But generally, I don't have a huge laid out plan. The closest I got to that was last semester, so last September through February, start of February, because I had to plan everything and plan and film and record and whatever, everything in advance, because I knew I wouldn't get to it during the semester, which unfortunately I didn't have the time to do before this semester started, which is exactly why I'm not putting videos out. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to do the Hangout. I loved watching it. You're awesome. Aww. Well, damn, I don't want to stop. But I should, and I already said I would, so, but I have to reload again. But yeah, this has been very interesting once again. Sorry, I sometimes blank out because I do stuff simultaneously to talking. But it's been very interesting and fun again. It's nice. It's always nice to see some people return every time. And I'll definitely do this again in some shape or form for 100,000. And I'll have to think about how I'll make that special, because 100,000. When I get to that, I'm already excited for it. I don't know when that will happen, but damn. Like when I started, it was like every single subscriber I got, I was like, oh, I had like 20, and I was like, damn. And it's probably not all robots. I'm so happy. And that's so far behind me now, and now it's like, never thought I would get this far. Yeah. So I'll just pick this as a last question. Hamburger and hot dog. We say Hamburger and hot dog. So just German accent, that's it. So I'll go through the ones that came in after I cut this off, and maybe answer some in written form. Please don't be sad if I don't. And I'll be going, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with you guys again, and I hope you enjoyed being here with me. And yeah, I forgot what else I was gonna say. But I'll see you in my next video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday evening, or Sunday day, or Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on where you are. Yeah. And as soon as I figure out again how I cut this off, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be gone. Yeah, now I know again. All right, see you guys around. Bye bye. Cheers.